There is places on the earth that is houses quicksand, and it's usually always found where there is a bunch of unattractive vegetation,
Right.
and animals,
Right.
snakes, and before we allowed, I don't know if it's going to be too heavy or not, but since you asked me, before we allowed this man to exist, we had avenues in and out of the earth. And because we were going to let this man rule, we filled up all of the entrances with sand. So he couldn't get in. But like it reads in the Bible, I think Jesus was saying, I must go away. And I'm going to prepare a house for you, for within my Father's house there are many kingdoms. In my Father's house. His Father's house is this planet.
Right.
It's not in the sky and some mystic. The planet is the house. And he lives in the planet. And in this planet there are many different cities as we speak. So to keep the man from going in, we fill up all the doorways with sand.
Wow.
And the power that holds the sand, because we didn't fill it up and then the sand just come down and went into the city.
Right.
We have a power there, like a force field. And because the power is there, and it makes the sand move, that's what makes it quick. So when you get in it, if you stay still, you're more like to stay on top of it.
Right.
But because you wiggle, every time you move, you sink down. Because of the power that's got the sand churning, holding it.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying.
I understand.
So they have got themselves in a situation where they're in that kind of quagmire. They're like in quicksand and can't get out unless they have an outside force to pull them out.
Right.
And you're talking to it. But they have to make the right attempt or the right cry or the right appeal. They can't say like they did when we got them out of the hills and caves of Europe. You know, they can't start to agree with what's going on because they got sick of, how they were living. So they told Musa a whole bunch of things to agree with just because they wanted to change their lifestyle. And we can see they didn't really mean it because look, you can see what they're doing now.
Right.
So this same thing has come around again. So it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. It's just that now we are weaker and wiser. But the principle of the same thing is happening. So they got themselves caught in that kind of quicksand due to their own making.
Right. Right.
But like always, there's always a way out.
We as African Americans have, when we identify ourselves as such, only because I think we've never been taught anything else. We know very little about our own history. We know only what we're taught.
Right.
Could you enlighten us about our history from where we have come from and where as a people we are going?
Well, that's a statement that's contradictory. The black man is the creator. He's a created man. He don't have history. And where we come from. We haven't come from anything. We have taken a downfall. We're the real gods of what exists. Everything that's real, everything that is a law of God. We're the author of it. And since we have allowed ourselves to be taken away from it, we have gone from that. We have fallen. Like it reads in about the fallen angels and whatnot.
Right.
We have fallen from that. So we haven't come from something. Like we was bad, now we'll come from that into good, like we've elevated. No, sir. That's totally backwards. So we don't deal with history. History in a way, if we compare making a camera to see this as compared to a vision.
Right.
So if the black man say well, he made laid out the city, the stoplights and all these kind of things, right? And Charlie Bruce supposed to made the blood plasma and all this kind of things of that nature. Before this man existed, we didn't need it. So if we can say the black man's history, that ain't history. It's a shame.
Right.
That's his shame.
Right.
That he,
Right.
We have to deal in what he really does, and he's a creator. Now, in the absence of him creating, if we want to compare ourselves with the other man, then we talk about history.
Right.
But we don't really have no story, his story. It's the white man's story. Everything we do in this state, we do it from the base of his thinking. That's why we always say, well, we believe. That's the base of his thinking. The base of ours, we know.
How do we get back to this place? How do we come back? How do we arrive back at this point where we are what our I don't know if destiny is the word I want to use, but what we have always been? How do we return back to this place? How do we go back?
I'm taking you. And how I'm taking you is calling you first to start to provide the things that you really need. In the process of doing that, as you are doing, as it reads, experience is your best teacher. Now, after I have taught and shared with you what is necessary to get you started, the same principle is what they did with me. I had to have a kickstart, but I had to have the will to want to pursue it and see where it's going. And by doing that, one step leads to the next, and the next. And that's why it says, you know, you become weaker and wiser, because wiser you are, the less lifting you do, less back muscles you need. You know, now you become wise enough that you can think of a thing and will it. You can make it, you know, just from your pure thought. You can tune in and talk. You don't need the telephone.
It's interesting you should share this, and the reason why I say that is I remember growing up, distinctly remember growing up, and remember having conversations to the like with other peers of mine who would say similar things that you just said, in terms of they sensed even within themselves that there was a point that they could arrive at where they could think and things could be.
Yes, sir. A lot of black people do that. Sometimes white people do it also. We let them see a few things, but a lot of black people can do that. However, they are not in the proper thinking to know how to do it at will. Sometimes they do it, you know, and it's, to them it's like an accident or something that just happened. You know, and this, man, boy, that was luck, or that was a coincidence. You know, such thing as a coincidence. You know, it's just that you don't know what you're doing. You know? So since you don't know and it happened anyhow, well, you can call it luck. You can call it that. But if you're going to be your real self, you know, such thing as luck or coincidence with a black man. No such thing.
Now, as a Christian, is it possible for me to make the return, and still bear witness to